You wake in the quiet hours before dawn, the world still wrapped in night's velvet hush. Your chest tightens, not with fear exactly, but with something heavier, older, and entirely wordless. The air feels thick, like breathing through fogged glass. You reach for the feeling that is pressing against your ribs, but it slips away the moment you try to name it, retreating into the dark corners where you were taught long ago that such things belong. You were a child once, standing in a doorway with tears burning your eyes, and someone taller, someone who was supposed to keep you safe, said, "Don't cry, be strong. Big kids don't do that." In that single moment, a contract was signed without your consent. Feelings are dangerous, vulnerability is weakness, and the fastest way to stay loved is to disappear the parts of you that feel too much. And so you learn to swallow the storm, to fold your heart into smaller and smaller squares until it fit neatly behind your ribs where no one could see it. It was brilliant survival. It kept you safe. It kept you acceptable. It kept you alive. But here is the cruel, exquisite paradox that no one ever warned you about. The very mechanism that once saved you is now, decades later, the slow poison that is breaking you from the inside out. The trigger that taught you to survive by suppressing your emotions has become a lifelong sentence of partial living. You walk through your days composed, competent, even admired for your unshakable calm, while inside the pressure builds like steam in a sealed pot. You tell yourself it's fine. You tell yourself this is a strength. You tell yourself everyone else manages to feel without falling apart. Yet every year the weight grows heavier, the nights grow quieter, and the distance between who you are and who you pretend to be becomes a chasm you no longer know how to cross. One day the lid will blow. One day the river you dammed in childhood will roar through the cracks, and you will finally understand that the flood was never the enemy. The real enemy was the silence you mistook for safety. Let us go deeper now into the shadowed architecture of the mind and body where this ancient decision still lives. Emotional suppression is not a character flaw, it is a nervous system imprint, a survival adaptation carved into your autonomic circuitry before you had language to protest. Attachment science names the wound clearly. When a child's emotions are repeatedly dismissed, punished, or met with indifference, the nervous system learns that emotional expression equals threat. The amygdala, your brain's smoke detector, begins to treat any rising feeling like an intruder. Over time, it dials down its own alarms to keep you from being rejected again. This is avoidant attachment in its purest form. If I don't need too much, if I don't feel too much, maybe they will stay. The cost is immediate and invisible. Your prefrontal cortex, the part meant to help you name and navigate emotions, is forced into permanent overtime, trying to override what the body already knows. Feelings are not safe. The result is a kind of emotional anorexia, self-induced starvation disguised as discipline. Polyvagal theory takes us even further into the body's truth. Stephen Porges showed that beneath fight or flight lies an older, more primitive response: dorsal vagal shutdown. When a child realizes that neither fighting nor fleeing will make the caregiver attune, the system collapses into freeze and dissociation. Heart rate slows, breath shallows, the eyes go vacant, and emotions are buried alive to conserve energy for basic survival. Do this often enough, and the vagus nerve forgets how to signal safety. Decades later, you can be sitting in a perfectly safe room, surrounded by people who love you, and your body will still respond to a wave of sadness the same way it did at age 5, by going numb, by disappearing the feeling before it can reach your throat. The world sees calm. Your nervous system experiences it as a collapse. Then there is the somatic layer, the body's silent archive. Peter Levine and Wilhelm Reich both understood that unexpressed emotion does not evaporate. It is metabolized into the musculature. The jaw clenches to hold back words. The shoulders rise to guard the heart. The diaphragm locks to keep breath shallow and grief contained. Over the years, this becomes armor, character armor, Reich called it, a physical corset that lets you function in the world while quietly strangling your aliveness. You develop tension headaches that no pill can touch. Your digestion slows because the gut is the second brain, and it, too, learned early that strong feelings were not allowed to pass through. You fall asleep fine, but wake at 3 a.m. with a racing heart because the body finally relaxes enough for the trapped emotions to whisper, "We're still here." The body, as Bessel van der Kolk titled his masterpiece, keeps the score. It keeps immaculate records written in adrenaline and cortisol, in shortened telomeres and inflamed vagus nerves. It never forgets what the mind agreed to bury. And so the child who learned to suppress to belong becomes the adult who suppresses to exist. Identity calcifies around the role of the strong one, the one who doesn't need, the one who can handle anything. Self-worth quietly shifts from "I am lovable as I am" to "I am valuable for what I can withstand." Dopamine rewards the successful avoidance of vulnerability. You get a little hit every time you power through instead of breaking down. Meanwhile, cortisol runs like a hidden tax, eroding your resilience in the background. You become exceptionally good at emergencies, terrible at ordinary tenderness. You can run companies, raise children, survive betrayals, all while operating on 40% emotional oxygen. And you call it adulthood. Now feel the weight, truly feel it, because this is where the real grief lives. There is a specific flavor of sorrow that belongs only to those who suppressed to survive. The grief for a self you never got to become. It is not loud. It does not announce itself with wailing or drama. It is the quiet ache behind the eyes when someone else cries openly and you realize you no longer remember how. It is the hollow sensation after sex when intimacy should bloom, but instead you feel the old familiar nothingness settle in. It is the way joy arrives, and you greet it like a polite guest you're not sure you're allowed to invite inside. This is invisible grief, mourning for all the moments you were present in body, but absent in soul. You have attended your own life as a ghost. Beneath that grief lies the internal conflict that drains you more than any external demand ever could. One part of you is still 5 years old, desperate to be seen. Another part is the hyper-vigilant guard who knows that being seen was dangerous. They fight every day, and you are the battlefield. The exhaustion is cellular. You wake up tired because you have been holding the line all night in dreams you don't remember. You drink coffee like armor. You scroll, you work, you exercise, anything to keep from feeling the tug-of-war inside your own ribcage. And still the question hums beneath everything. Who would I be if I ever stopped holding it together? Carl Jung saw this clearly. The persona is what we present to the world. The shadow is what we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. When emotion is chronically suppressed, the shadow does not stay quietly in the basement. It grows teeth. It begins to direct your life through projection, self-sabotage, and sudden rages that feel like they come from nowhere. Until you make the unconscious conscious, Jung warned, it will rule you, and you will call it fate. Repetition for emphasis. The shadow grows. The shadow grows. And in its growth, you lose the very thing you were trying to protect, your authentic self. Rilke understood the loneliness of this path. In Letters to a Young Poet, he writes, "I want to be with those who know secret things or else alone." The suppressed among us know the deepest secret of all, that we are alone even in company because we have exiled the parts of us that connect. Nietzsche's eternal recurrence becomes a terrifying thought experiment. If you had to relive this half-lived life forever, every muted joy and swallowed tear, would you say yes? The honest answer is usually no, and that no is the crack where healing begins. Seneca offers a Stoic lifeline. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality, but suppression perverts Stoicism into dissociation. True Stoic practice is not the absence of feeling, it is the courageous examination of feeling. You have mistaken endurance for wisdom, silence for strength. Exile the emotions, and they do not disappear. They return distorted, heavier, demanding interest on every year they were denied. This is the cumulative toll, a slow, polite suicide of the soul. You become exceptionally good at surviving and exceptionally bad at living. You are present but not alive, connected but not felt, successful on paper and hollow in the quiet moments when no one is watching. And then adulthood arrives, and the patterns bloom into full color. You fall in love with people who are emotionally unavailable because they confirm the old story. Closeness is dangerous. Or you choose partners who feel everything loudly, and you become their emotional caretaker, finally useful, finally needed, as long as you never ask for the same in return. You say, "I'm fine," so often it becomes a reflex, a spell that keeps the world at bay. When someone asks how you really are, panic rises like bile because the honest answer would require excavation equipment. At work, you are the one who can handle the crisis, the one who never complains, the one who stays late and fixes everything. You climb ladders built on competence and emotional invisibility. Feedback feels like an attack because any crack in the armor threatens the whole structure. You avoid mentorship, coaching, therapy, and anything that might ask you to name what you feel. Burnout arrives not as a dramatic collapse, but as a quiet resignation. One day you realize you no longer care about anything. Boundaries are either non-existent or concrete walls. You overgive until resentment curdles into contempt, or you withhold so completely that people eventually stop asking. Your body speaks the truth, your mouth will not. Tension headaches every Sunday night, IBS that flares when conflict approaches, and shoulders that live permanently at your ears. You develop 1,000 small addictions: scrolling, perfectionism, exercise, productivity, anything that generates enough dopamine to outrun the numbness. You apologize for taking up space. You apologize for having needs. You apologize for crying in the rare moments the dam breaks, and then you apologize for apologizing. You become fluent in the language of "it's okay" when nothing is okay. You watch friends experience grief, rage, ecstasy, and you feel envy so sharp it frightens you. You have moments of explosive anger that feel alien because 99% of the time you are the calmest person in the room. Then you hate yourself for the 1% that escaped. You live in grayscale while everyone else seems to live in color. And yet, beneath all of this, something stirs. A quiet voice that has never fully gone silent. The part of you that remembers what it felt like to run barefoot in grass, to cry without shame, to need and be held. That part has been waiting. Unlearning begins with the simplest and most revolutionary act: noticing. The next time your chest tightens, your jaw clenches, your breath goes shallow, pause. Do not fix. Do not explain. Simply ask, what am I not allowing myself to feel right now? Name it, even if only in a whisper. Sadness, anger, need, fear. The naming itself is an act of rebellion against decades of training. Write it down where no one will see. Say it aloud when you're alone in the car. The nervous system begins to learn that feelings can be felt without annihilation. Start micro. Tell one safe person one true thing this week. I'm actually not okay. That hurt me. I'm scared. Feel the terror, the heat in your face, the ancient alarm bells, and then notice that the world does not end. The sky does not fall. You survive being seen. Do it again next week with something a little bigger. These are the reps that rewire the vagus nerve from shutdown to connection, from freeze to flow. Reparenting is the deeper work. Close your eyes and find the child who first learned that feelings were dangerous. See their small body, their confused eyes. Kneel and tell them what no one told them then. You are allowed to feel everything. I've got you now. We don't have to hide anymore. Read them bedtime stories. Tuck them in. Let them cry in your arms until there are no more tears left to cry for the past. This is not a metaphor. This is neurobiological repair. Every time you give that child what they need, you give your adult nervous system evidence that safety is possible. Learn the language of boundaries. No becomes a complete sentence. I need becomes holy. Practice in small ways first, returning the shirt that doesn't fit, asking for the restaurant table you actually want, then scale up to the harder truths. I can't talk right now, I'm overwhelmed. I need space. I need more from you. Each clear boundary is a love letter to the child who learned that taking up space was dangerous. Shadow work is where the real integration happens. Set aside time to feel what you have spent a lifetime avoiding. Put on music that cracks you open and let the body move the grief. Scream into pillows. Write the rage letters you will never send. Dance the joy you were taught was childish. Every suppressed emotion that finally moves through you is energy returned to the system. You will feel worse before you feel better. That is the price of decades of interest. Pay it willingly. Therapy, EMDR, somatic experiencing, trauma-informed yoga, whatever modality speaks to your body, use it. You do not have to do this alone. The lone wolf story was part of the original wound. Let someone witness you. Let someone hold the space while your nervous system remembers how to tremble, how to weep, how to roar. Let them remind you that being witnessed is the antidote to being disappeared. Build daily rituals that speak directly to the nervous system. Morning sunlight in your eyes, barefoot on the earth, slow breaths that reach your belly, gentle movement, warm tea held with both hands like a prayer. End each day with one true sentence. Today I felt. Even if the sentence is, today I felt nothing, say it anyway. Truth is the slow solvent that dissolves armor. And then one day you will notice it. A moment of spontaneous laughter that reaches your eyes. A tear that falls without apology. A boundary spoken calmly and held. A night you sleep without the 3 a.m. wake-up call from the past. These are not dramatic transformations. They are quiet revolutions. The dam does not burst all at once. It develops careful leak points that you learn to tend. The river finds its way back to the sea, drop by drop, without drowning anyone. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Rilke knew. The goal was never to become someone who never suppresses, never freezes, never protects. That is not human. The goal was to become someone who notices, who chooses, who returns again and again to the body with tenderness instead of exile. The goal was to understand that the little child who learned to disappear, parts of himself, did so with perfect logic and perfect love. He was trying to keep you safe. Thank him, hold him, and then gently, firmly, take the reins. The trigger that once ruled you does not have to be pulled for the rest of your life. The stone in your chest can dissolve. The breath you have been holding since childhood can finally, fully let go. The goal is not to fix yourself. It is to understand yourself so deeply, so compassionately, that suppression is no longer the only language you know how to speak. In that understanding, you become something the child never dared dream of. A person who feels, who needs, who stays, and who is loved, not despite all of it, but because of it.